obviously you guys, was it 8 when you formed the band?
Say again?
Were you 8 years old when you formed the band?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, we started playing music when we were like between 8 and 10, and then we didn't really start Swmrs until we were like 18, 19. Yeah.
And do you remember when your kind of love of music transitioned into you wanting to be in a band?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we always knew we wanted to play music. I mean, we started playing sports together, we were that little, and then after we saw School of Rock, we started watching the Monkees, and it was just kind of like this natural switch where we fell in love with playing our instruments.
Yeah, and at what point did you kind of begin introducing yourself to people as musicians as opposed to your day job or whatever you were studying? At what point did you kind of hit that peak?
Yeah, I mean, we all started off like going to college and stuff like that at university, and then we kind of, you know, we just kind of started writing songs that we felt could go a little further than just doing summer tours. So we all decided, you know, we're gonna take a little bit of time off and see where it goes, and now we're in Scotland.
And is it the Bay Area you're from?
Yeah, we're all from the Bay Area, yeah.
So since you kind of started being in Swmrs, how has that area changed, and has that had an impact upon the band and the music?
Yeah, I mean, I think like any place in America or kind of like the modern world right now, like everything's kind of getting gentrified and stuff like that. Right now, like in the Bay Area, it kind of sucks because everything's so expensive just because the tech world went from Silicon Valley to San Francisco and now Oakland. And it's just like, you know, I feel like anywhere it's so hard to pay rent where you come from. So you kind of gotta either like suck it up or like find other ways to live.
In Work Is On Fire,
yeah.
That's the opening track to the album. At what point did that kind of cement itself as the opening track and the title track, and why was that?
I think right when we heard the guitar riff at the beginning of the song, you know, we were like, oh shit, I mean, it was the first song we started writing for the record, and it was at Reading Festival 2015 when we saw BBK play. We saw Skepta, and we were like, oh shit, like the way people were dancing to it, we were like, we can do that with guitars. So we kind of shifted gear and went that way.
And what you mentioned there about it being dancey, it's a dancey album.
Yeah.
And it's a rocky dancey album, but you also have a lot of this political lyricism kind of everything with it. At what point did you find that balance? Was it difficult finding the balance between politics and dance?
I think like our favorite bands, you know, like The Clash, you know, it's like they were able to write kind of political songs while also making people dance and have a good time. So for us, it was like pretty easy because we kind of grew up on that. So it's kind of like, you know, it goes a lot more hand in hand than you think. You know, people want to have a good time, but you can get them to sing about important things.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about the record is that all the songs are kind of uniquely different and separate, and they're distinguishable, but at the same time they're all linked. What do you feel connects the songs on the album and links them together?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of come from the playlist generation, so it's kind of like everyone's making playlists and not listening to albums so much. So it's like you send a friend a playlist, you don't send a friend an album. And for us, it was like, how can we make our album feel like a playlist and have the kind of flow of a playlist?
Yeah, and I think you've spoken about keeping journals before.
Yeah.
How do you ever take entries in that journal and turn them into songs? And if so, how do you go about doing that? Do you ever take entries in the journals and turn them into songs?
Yeah. I mean, Cole journals all the time, and like, you know, I think the cool thing is Max and Cole really love to like commentate on what's going on around them, and so for us, I just kind of like commentating while also just having a good time still. You know, there's a lot to be said and a lot to say, but I feel like what's the most important part about it is seriously just making people dance, because people go to shows to let loose, you know, and they also listen to music to kind of escape the seriousness of the world.
I've just got one or two left. To get you just to lean back a bit, that's okay. Thank you. I mean, the album is it's got quite a hopeful tone overall, and it's, you know, it's optimistic about the future.
Yeah.
What do you think we've got to do as human beings to kind of ensure a better future? You know?
Yeah, I think the most important things right now, one is kind of just adapting to the modern society. I think, you know, our generation and the generation surrounding us are the future, and so it's kind of like everyone who thinks about the future and how it should go should have a voice and should say something. I think you know, using social media and using platforms to like enhance young people's voices is the most important thing, and you know, listening. I think really it's like I can do interviews, I can go up on stage, and we can kind of say whatever we want, and you know, we have the power to say whatever we want, but the most important thing actually is like taking a step back and listening to everyone around here.
Yeah, I mean, when you guys are on stage, like when I was watching you earlier, you're so vibrant and into it and energetic. You get everyone involved. At what point did you kind of develop that stage presence, and how did you get to that point?
All of our favorite bands have made people dance. I think a big one is like when we see the Hives play festivals. It's very just like they have this kind of swagger about them on stage, and for us, it's like we know what we're good at, and we go up on stage, and our job is to entertain people, and however we do that best, we're gonna do.
Yeah. And to round it off, one last question. What would you say is your most rock and roll moment over the kind of roller coaster of the last few years?
I guess, I mean, the other day was kind of funny because like I was sitting at our hotel and like all of a sudden like I'm sitting at breakfast across from Maggie Rogers, and then fucking Dinosaur Jr. walks through the door, and then like our friend Finn from Stranger Things. So that was kind of like a Rockstar feeling. It's kind of a funny moment, you know. So
Thank you very much.
yeah, dude, thanks so much for everything. There you go.
Cheers.
Have a good one, man.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, man.